weighed alongside gold. Of course, gold is the symbolic, what do you call it now? Commodity for money. Okay? Gold is a symbolic commodity for money. It has been from time immemorial, after human beings stopped exchanging food, which is called the barter system. They discovered this qualitative method that was very good to the eyes, very beautiful, and also easily formed. Okay? Easily deformed to make different utensils that were used. And gold is one of those metals. Even before the discovery of iron, gold was a thing. Okay, and that's why it became the first currency. Right from the Garden of Eden, the question has been about the value of human beings. As vis-a-vis other natural resources. We need food for sustenance as human beings. And the quality of our lives depends on how we are able to process natural resources. Okay? We have also advanced through the discovery of medicine. Even clay is a resource, as we see in Genesis chapter 11. Clay is a resource. They learned how to bake clay and it became hard enough. As opposed to stone, which was too heavy sometimes. Okay? Difficult to cut and sometimes too heavy. And of course, clay can also serve as mortar, so it is very, very important. Iron, okay? And then writing. When they began to engage in economic activities, they had to start counting, trade. So they had to start counting, and that is how writing evolved. Okay, it was something that evolved, developed out of necessity, not because they were playing. Okay, not because somebody, didn't know what to do, have anything to do. So it was out of necessity. They needed to measure things properly, accurately, to build buildings that will not collapse. Okay? And when they were trading among one another, of course, they needed to be accurate. If not, fights will start. So these are the issues. The value of human existence naturally became equated, okay, with resources, with natural resources. It's just simple. And most important for those natural resources, as a symbolic commodity, was gold, okay? Commodity money. But this value only lasts as long as these minerals find, value with human beings themselves. Okay? A hungry man cannot appreciate the value of gold. Okay? A sick man cannot appreciate the value of gold. It loses its luster in the face of hunger, starvation, and silver also loses its value in the face of redundancy. When metal was discovered, silver would not be valuable, okay, if as much as it would have when iron was not discovered. So we see this in Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1 to 22. Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1 to 22. Okay? And this is a story, like we said, a real story of a man who existed and lived at the time Israel was going into captivity. The first captivity, as it were. Okay? Out of the promised land. Now, this is different from their own voluntary stay in Egypt, in which later they became slaves. But this one, they were invaded in their own land and taken into captivity. And it was a time when God stopped protecting them, as it were. Now, if you look at all the prophets that came before the prophet Jeremiah, Jeremiah is the person who wrote the book of Lamentations, the book of Jeremiah and the book of Lamentations. Okay? So all the prophets that came before Jeremiah were known to have some healing power. Okay? Some healing power. But at the point, the removal of this healing power symbolizes that God has left them. Okay? In those days, they never had science. They never had so much medicine like we have today. So it was God who protected them health-wise, protected them even in war. Many times they were the minority, but they still won the battle because God protected them. Okay? So Jeremiah is a real person, and the book of Jeremiah and Lamentations, these are books that really have historical value. Okay? Because you hardly see any miracle there which people would dispute with. Okay? There's no miracle there. It's just the natural, everyday activities of human beings. Jeremiah himself was a business person. Okay? Was a wealthy man. One of the few prophets that was actually a wealthy man here on earth. And the topic of this very chapter, he begins with a lament, as the whole book of Lamentations is, about the loss of value in gold, that comparing gold itself with the people and with the children of the land. Okay? Comparing gold with the people and with the children of the land. Saying that the children no longer have the same value they used to have. Children are no longer arrows in the quiver of their elders. Sorry. Because they no longer represent a source of continuity and communal sustenance. Of course, if you are defeated in war, what is the use of your children? If they are killed, they no longer have such value. Community is depleted, so there is no such value. The nation was defeated by their enemies, the Babylonians. And when you look at this very closely, you will see that in my own contemporary understanding of this, as Jeremiah tries to discuss it, okay, the result of the children becoming less important is actually a cyclical thing. Because of the disobedience of the people to God, of course, they did not obey Deuteronomy 6 instruction, okay? Deuteronomy 6 instruction. And because they did not obey this instruction, and Deuteronomy 20, to teach their children what God has given them, okay? Of course, the result was God abandoning them. And it creates a cycle in the God abandons them because they have not taught their children, and of course their children would not have that value to give back to the society. Okay, so it is a cycle, and that creates the downfall of the nation. Sin creates more sin. Okay, sin creates more sin, and this is what is happening. The dilemma of population is an issue that comes up in this discussion. People are forced to neglect their children sometimes because they are unable to feed, clothe, and educate them properly. Okay? One of the problems that most schools complain of, like the school that we're accommodating here, okay, is that the parents don't have the money to buy books. I was marking one of the girls, I gave them, sometimes I just volunteer to just teach them, okay? And I gave them an assignment. And one of the books, they didn't even have a book. She was just using pieces of paper. That was probably just one. And you see how they are suffering. And this is a private school. You haven't even gone to our public schools. Okay? Why? Because there is no real value. They don't see the children with that kind of value. Well, you can say that they don't really see education with that value, okay? But in this world of today, the truth is that if they value those children, they will do all they can to educate them, because the world is governed through education, okay? Through education. It is not something that is vague there. It is an open thing. But children are sometimes only valued for their labor. When they grow up, they become big. They are now what? Strong enough to do labor, manual labor. And that is all. And of course, when it comes to warfare. So the question in our modern society, especially now that our modern society, the question has come up, is population really useful? Okay? And this is what this chapter in Lamentations tries to help us to talk about. Is population really useful? Because now we are in the age of automation, okay? Manual labor is not as valued as before, okay? It's still valuable, but it's not as valuable as before. Because you have to think of feeding people. The number of people that you have to think about feeding them. And you begin to now, you're forced to begin to analyze what it means to be useful. Okay? Now, how do you even prioritize between people? Of course, you would naturally say you prioritize the needs of people based on how useful they are. Okay? So now how do you do that prioritization? How do you do that prioritization? And of course, one thing that we all know, that a person that is destructive, okay, now loses his value. Number one, the person that is destructive, is perpetually destructive, loses value. When the Russians were fighting, they said they went and carried prisoners, recruited prisoners, and took them to the forefront. Okay, because these are the people of lesser value, okay? Because they have proven to be destructive. It's very terrible, but that's what happened. It is also an irony that some are only described as useless in a society when that society does not value their work, okay? It's not always true that the person who is actually useless, okay, is called useless. Okay? It's not always true. Because sometimes these definitions vary in different societies. Like I made the example of the society like Russia, okay? Well, I heard that in Ukraine, the people with brains are more valued, okay? But in Russia, it's the people that are strong, okay? The soldiers. So this is a difference in culture, okay? This is difference in culture. So in different countries, there are those differences. It is known that many world famous inventors that have marked history, have changed the history of humanity, were immigrants, okay? People who came from other countries. One most important is Albert Einstein. Okay? Their countries did not appreciate them, okay? And so they had to move to other countries. Albert Einstein, who founded the theory of relativity, that led, okay, that helped in the development of the atomic bomb, that was the result that caused the end of the Second World War, was a German, okay, who became an American later on. Tesla was a European who became an American later on, okay. Elon Musk is an African, okay, who became an American. So all of these people, because where he was, his work would probably not be valued, okay? So he has to move somewhere else. And we see also there's somebody who is a Zimbabwean. We are not sure about his own discovery yet, okay? Because it's not yet out there. That claims that it is his own people that are rejecting him, okay? His own people. Maxwell Chicken Boots, okay? There are some people that are rejecting him. So one important concept though is how truly is human value as compared to gold or silver, okay? How? We need to, no matter what anybody is saying, we need to reach our own conclusion. What the value of a human being is. What is a unit? In science, if you want to find the value of something, you find the unit, okay, of measurement. What is the unit of measurement of individual usefulness? Okay? And this also brings up the dilemma of the commercialization of what is meant to be free. Because human value is often, you cannot compare it with money in real sense. It is always compared with money, okay? But you cannot compare it with money in the real sense. And so human beings have discovered that you have to elevate human beings above resources. And so they have tried over the ages to make things free, okay? No matter what a human being is, he has the right to what? Food, to shelter, okay? To clothing. And as we keep on developing, improving, our needs continue to expand, okay? That is the truth of it. And this is the dilemma between Tesla and Thomas Edison, okay? Thomas Edison broke away with Tesla. Tesla left Thomas Edison because Edison was more concerned about making a profit, okay? And Tesla was concerned about providing something, okay, at the lowest cost, okay? And it worked. Tesla invented alternating current, okay? And this is what is used up to today in transmitting electricity at a cheaper cost. So he succeeded at the first level, but at the second level, of course, he did not succeed because he was too optimistic, okay? He was too optimistic. But he discovered it. It was right under his nose, okay? I think radio, up to today, radio is the one technology that is free, okay? Has always been free. I don't know about when they discovered it, but it is the only technology that has always been free. Radio. And he succeeded, but it was another person who took the credit, okay? Because he was too optimistic. Okay? He was too optimistic. He didn't want the money. And so he didn't have enough money to continue to pursue his ambition. Okay? So this is the issue. And so that dilemma of Tesla is very important. Was Tesla an ambitious person? No. Okay? He was a what? A loving and a kind person who knew that it was possible, okay, to give, to tap on the abundance of God's creation. Okay? That is just the thing. So this is the dilemma of human value. I will always complain with things, but in every society we find that this is what differentiates the youth from the elders, okay? What the elders see as ambition, the youth see as possibility, okay? As possibility, as progress, And this is the problem. We always have that problem. And when the youth now succeed, of course, it becomes a taint to the elders and it becomes a social problem. Okay? Now, this is the issue. And some of them have to move outside the country so that they continue what they are doing. Okay? Avoid the progression. So this is what now, between these issues, you find what the work of God. Okay? The work of God is the foundation of trying to give human beings their dignity. Okay? To really value human beings. That is what you call the work of God. Call it spiritual mumbo jumbo, call it whatever. That is what it is supposed to do. And the law was put forth clearly in the Torah. Okay? That from whatever you do, your hard work, okay, you give 10%, okay, of that to the priest. That is, his major work is to keep society, the balance of society, okay? Give glory to God and take care of the weak, the orphan, the poor, those who cannot take care of themselves, okay? That is what he does. And that is what Tesla wanted to do, to produce free energy, so that the weak will have the basics of life, okay? To cook food, to stay warm. And believe you me, for them, it was more important. Energy was more important. Maybe that is why electricity was discovered in Europe and not in Africa, okay? Because for them it was so important to stay warm. Their society is very cold, okay, because of snow. If you don't have electricity or wood to burn during the winter, you will definitely die. Okay? So it was so important. And Tesla racked his mind just to bring this thing out, to provide this thing, so that the poor will survive. Okay? So that they don't have to pay for this thing called electricity. But the problem that we face in this thing is that there is a need to get everybody participating and contributing to the common working, okay? There is a need to get everybody working, and not just a few people working and others sitting and just benefiting from it, okay? If I get something free, I will never appreciate it without putting something back, okay? I will never really appreciate it. So that is my dilemma number one. And the other is the dilemma that the majority always takes such things for granted. When things are available, majority tend to take it for granted. We see that in the story of Numbers chapter 11, verse 1 to 14. When God provided the Israelites with what? Manna, okay? And then with meat. They cried and they begged for this thing. But when it came, they began to play with it, okay? This is just the tendency, the human nature. So even free things can become a source of problem, okay? Free things can become a source of problem, and this is the dilemma that is faced in doing the work of God, okay? Can become a problem. Thus, over the centuries, people have resorted to commercializing innovation instead of giving it out. Okay? If I discover something, people say, oh, this thing, God has given you this intelligence, it's a gift, give it free. But people decided, no, okay, I'm going to sell this thing, bring something so that I'll give you, okay? My intellectual is called intellectual property, or my patent, okay? And this is what Tesla kind of took for granted. Tesla was supposed to get about, I think, $2.5, okay, for every kilowatt of electricity produced. But he decided to tear that agreement because the person, the businessman he had reached the agreement with, said he could not pay, okay? So he thought the agreement, he was more concerned about getting the thing. So the same dilemma holds back solar energy today, okay? Discovered that solar energy was discovered, decades ago. Of course, it was difficult to develop, but it has been sustainable for 20 or more years right now, okay? Of course, we talked about how some people, like Elon Musk, have created a very good business from that, okay? Electricity, electric cars, and also from solar energy. So it has been very sustainable for the past more than 2-3 decades right now. Because in solar energy, you see, the sun is free, okay? The sun is free, it's literally free. And so it will not reproduce this monthly salary of a thing, okay? Once the technology has become, this is the same problem that Edison faced, Thomas Edison, okay? Thomas Edison, when he discovered DC current, which is what solar energy depends on, okay? It stores current in form of DC current. So Thomas Edison discovered DC current. And what he discovered that it was very difficult to distribute DC current until AC was discovered by Tesla. So it was very expensive, okay? So the same problem that Edison was facing is the same problem that solar energy is facing today. But the advantage in solar energy is that the sun is there free, okay? Especially in the tropics, for 10 hours in a day, the sun is there, available free of charge. Okay, that's the advantage of solar energy. Okay? But the problem is that because distribution is very difficult, people have to generate it in their own homes. Okay? So there is no employment for those in the industry. Okay? The employment is limited. It's limited. They just sell the thing and they let it go. Of course, we have some people now coding the thing so that you have to be paying, okay, monthly, but it's also still limited because when you finish your payment, you use it. And of course, you will be cheating others who are selling their and letting it go, okay? People who sell radios, who sell TVs, who sell refrigerators, who sell cars, okay? So this is a dilemma, and in not allowing solar energy to progress, you are now reversing the work of people like Tesla, okay? And the work of God becomes obsolete, becomes non-existent. And of course, we know there's always need for the work of God because as much as you need more people, you need to feed them. You need to give them certain privileges, okay? Because they will not be able to pay for everything. So this is the problem, and that is why solar electricity has been held back for decades now in favor of nuclear energy, because of course in the nuclear plants you need a lot of workers to maintain it, okay? And of course the monthly salary will come, and distribution, just like in alternating current, distribution is necessary and cheap, and so there will be people being employed every month with monthly salaries. And it's the same problem that people like Chikumbutso will face, okay? Because once he gives out the technology, it is given. There is no monthly salary associated with it, okay? And this is what Tesla did. Probably Tesla saw this, and that is why God put that empathy in him. That is why he gave away his money per kilowatt, okay? So that people will have it. And so this is the dilemma. We're still talking about valuing human beings, the value we put on human beings, as opposed to money or gold, okay? And this is the thing, this is the work of God. This is what the work of God is all about. Tesla pioneered the work of God in the sciences by relinquishing his what? His money, okay? He relinquished his money. He took the first installment, okay, the first contractual sum, okay? But he relinquished the one he was supposed to be getting on a monthly basis, okay? Because of every kilowatt of electricity that was generated. And this is the secret to sustainable energy, to solar energy, to any form of energy that will be free, okay? That's the only secret. what God has already solved in the church through tithe, okay? Are you getting? Maybe the only solution. Okay? Are you getting what I'm saying? I understand what I'm saying. That everybody, whatever you earn, you give a little contribution, okay? To it. So, in that way, you make the cost of energy very cheap. Okay? So it will just be a contributory sum, a taxation, so that you continue to create, to sustain the industry, and not really a measured amount, okay? Not really measured in things like solar electricity. Once you buy the equipment you need, that is all, okay? You have contributed already. Until the equipment now spoils, then you replace it. So the question that we are trying to solve today is a question that cannot be answered without understanding what human value is intrinsically all about. And to understand this, we have to return to the Creator God. And it's only God who knows human value, the true value of human beings. Even those who are climate enthusiasts, who want to protect the climate, have shown that they don't really understand the value of human beings. Okay? They sometimes value animals more than human beings. The aesthetics of the world more than the one who is supposed to enjoy such aesthetics. And that is also another dilemma. So we will go back to Genesis chapter 1 verse 24 to 31 to be able to see how God values human beings. And also Genesis chapter 2 verse 15 to 20. Okay? And it's a very simple principle. And we see in Genesis 2 verse 15 to 20 and chapter 1 verse 24 to 31 that human beings are not made only for consumption, but to watch over the earth. Okay? They are made to be guardians of the earth. And it's very clear, we've seen that in other talks I've given here, that the very physiology, okay, of human beings shows that they are not really necessary to keep the world going, okay? But they are here for a reason, okay? For a higher reason. They are here, we are here for a higher reason. That we are here also as part of the proof of God, okay? That God exists, whether we like it or not. And that is why the Bible says the fool says there is no God, okay? Describes the person who says there is no God as a fool, because you are the proof that there is God, that God exists. You are a complex being, okay? That should not be there, but you are there. Okay? You should not be there, but you are there. So we are made to watch over the earth and not merely to consume its resources. In today's world, this means not just making it look neat, but innovating to make sure it is not destroyed. This is a thing that it takes time. It takes somebody who is very, very observant and the study of history to be able to understand this, okay? That we are also here to protect the world. And that is what Genesis chapter 2 tries to tell us, okay? And we're here to tend the garden, to look after the world. Because we are sons of God, we are made in the image of God. And it is mind-blowing to see how long it has taken God to show us this, okay? And you see, one evidence that we have in the Bible is, when you look at the Bible, you keep on hearing, especially with Jeremiah, people like Isaiah, and the book of Revelation, you keep on hearing about wormwood, okay? Like in Lamentations chapter 1, we heard about wormwood. What is wormwood? Wormwood was how they described an asteroid, okay? An asteroid or a meteorite. Because in those days, they had a lot of events of asteroids and meteorites hitting the earth, destroying civilizations. Okay? I think it's probably the same thing that happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? And it was repeated in Pompeii during the Roman Empire. Okay? Where a volcano destroyed the whole city. So wormwood is an asteroid, and it is what they feared. They feared it, and they associated it with punishment from God. Okay? I was also listening to a documentary yesterday of somebody who went and he researched that a similar event happened, and that was what contributed to the fall of the Roman and the Christian Empire. Okay? This is one thing that we don't hear about. We hear about how the Christians fought one another by killing one another for heresy, okay, and for all sorts of things, but we never hear about the volcano that caused the sun to be blocked out, okay, for years. For about 18 months. That is serious. Are you listening? The sun was blocked out and the earth became very cold. In world history, AD 536, okay, during the Christian Empire, the Christian Roman Empire. And that was what caused a pandemic, okay, because of the cold. It harbored a pandemic, and the pandemic destroyed a very large percentage of the population of the earth, okay, and caused the fall of the Christian Roman Empire. And it is prophesied where? Okay, so we don't hear of it. It took a guy called David Keyes to make this research and find it out. So you see, biblical interpretation must change, okay, if we're to take this seriously. The interpretation to the book of Revelations. So I thank those people there in YouTube that have made this available to us, okay? Without YouTube, we won't have these things, especially those of us here in the third world. So we are here to protect the world from such destructions also. And we're going to have to look into that very seriously, okay? That God's desire for us to become people who venture out of the earth, is it really a lot of what God wants for us? Okay? And we are going to look at it into this message. That thing that we look down on, that only 1.something% of the budget for some of these countries that go to participate in space exploration, just 1% or 2% of their budget, okay, is so foolish. They see it as such a foolish thing, but it seems that this is what God wants us to do. Okay? It's looking like it. Because the Bible prophesies it, okay? It's concerned about it for some reason. Of course, you don't, if you have children and you know they're in danger, will you not tell them? Okay? It's just natural. But we as human beings, because our lives are so short, we don't look at these things. And we are not very intelligent actually. Okay? We don't look at these things, and we see God more in the spiritual sense rather than in the physical sense. Even though He's the one who has created the physical world. We'll look at that in today's message. Okay? This is the problem. We say God created the physical world, but we don't look at the physical world with any importance when we talk about God. And yet we kill one another, okay? We destroy one another for the physical things. What a strange people. What a very strange people. So we see all these things in Genesis chapter 3 verse 1, Genesis 6 verse 1, and Genesis 9 verse 1 to 7. We are bound to find solutions to energy sufficiency and to problems that may come from outside the earth. This is our destiny, and this means we have a symbiotic relationship with the sources found on the earth, the resources found on the earth, and also outside the earth. So it is not a question, to me, it is not a question of one individual, evaluating the value of another person's life. Okay? But it's a question of how we ourselves value our own life. And this is the strangest thing about human beings. And it has taken us thousands and thousands of years to discover this. And this is what has created Western civilization. Okay? Through Christianity. And what did Christ say? Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul. Okay? Then love your neighbor as yourself. Okay? That means you are the only judge. You judge only yourself. Okay? You only judge yourself. You don't have a right to judge another person. And this is strange. And it is seen as weakness by other religions. But this is what Christ brought. This is what Christ brought. So it is a great responsibility to be able to assess your own self and know the value of your own life. Okay? And this will determine how you live, with whom you decide to work and to support, and what principles you choose to imbibe in life. Okay? This is the true value of human beings. Shabbat Shalom.